I'm really excited to bring our next speaker in. We've got Russ Wilson coming. Russ heads up design at Fidelity Investments. He has a 20-year career as a user experience professional and product executive. The financial services industry, I think you're all familiar, has a history of you can't get there from here kind of mindset. So Russ is going to challenge that and help us all find a way to move beyond what we can't do. Ready to hear from you, Russ Wilson.
Hello, everyone. I want to thank Mad Powell and the team for the FXD conference for inviting me to speak today. I also want to thank all of you for making the time to listen to my presentation. I'm going to talk about moving beyond what we can't do. We've all experienced this. So we do some great research. We look at the market. We do co-creation sessions with our customers. We do ethnographic research. We leverage our personas, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And we come up with a perfect solution that is really going to wow our customers. And we get excited. But then reality sets in. We meet with engineering, we meet with product management, and we're told that it's going to take forever to actually deliver what we've designed, and it's going to cost millions and millions of dollars. And as a result, we wind up dejected and with all of our steam and passion squashed, and we decide either we're going to write a book or we're going to go back to school, or we're going to do something to find a way to drag ourselves back into work. Right? Maybe I'm being a little dramatic. Maybe you actually feel that way. I don't know. So why does this happen? Well, we hear we can't for many reasons. And to be honest, I've heard these phrases for far too long. I would say decades, plural. We hear that it's going to cost too much. It's going to take too long to deliver. It's not going to drive any incremental revenue. Our customers don't care. We already have a great solution. It doesn't have to be perfect, right? All these things I'm sure many of you have heard as well, but we hear them over and over again, right? And so, you have to ask yourself, how can we? How can we overcome these things? Why do they keep coming up? Why is it such a challenge for UX to deliver on the things that we want to deliver on? And so I have a few theories that I've tried and played out in my experience, and a few have worked, and I thought I would share those. And the first is the willingness to go outside of our lane. Here's what I mean by that. So as UXers, we were sold this beautiful dream. It might have come from UX, as a matter of fact. I'm not sure, but this triad emerged, right? And I'm sure you've seen this diagram a million times, done in a million different ways. And sometimes there's 4 circles, 5, however many, but it originated with this perfect little triad, right? But then you wake up and you realize that it's not quite exactly as we thought, right? It turns out it's a little more like this, or possibly even like this. I'm not sure if this is a nightmare. In some scenarios, it's a nightmare. But even more often, I encounter this. And this, to me, is pretty close to a nightmare. No offense to PMR engineering. So how do we change that, right? How do we make UX become the big circle, or even a peer circle, for that matter? My theory is that we have to learn a lot more about the business, and we have to learn a lot more about technology. We have to have both of those contexts to really become the big circle, and, as some would put it, to have a seat at the table. So what I mean by the business context, when you're talking to executives, especially very senior executives, things like, how we generate revenue, what our costs are, um, what are strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, right? What's next? What are emerging markets or adjacent markets? What technologies are going to enable us to go in different directions? What market or business environment factors are going to impact our business or open up new opportunities for us? These are really important things for a designer to be thinking about and to be able to talk intelligently about, to really have that seat at the table, right? And to help to influence the decisions we're making. Also, leadership's real priorities. And I put real because there are certain things that leaders would never say no to, right? Is a leader going to say that we shouldn't invest in accessible design? No, they're never going to say that. Um, but the problem is there's a difference between not saying no and actually saying yes, and investing money and time and resource into something. And so I think it's very important that we don't take statements at face value and we actually dig in behind the scenes and learn what the real priorities are and call it like it is. I've told executives in the past that if a particular thing isn't their priority, just tell me and I'll shift and I'll work on something else. I think this is really important. Um, these things may sound obvious, but they play a huge role in having the impact that we want to ultimately have as a UX design role or function. As far as the technical context, you know, we we're in the business of designing digital products. I think it's important that we understand as much as we can about the medium that we're designing on, which is technology. I don't mean that we have to become programmers or engineers, but I do believe that we need to have an understanding of common tech stacks, of front end technologies, web services, of the differences between native mobile and hybrid mobile or web based mobile. Um, Having some understanding of these things helps us when we're told we can't to push back on that and to understand, is this really a problem or something that we can't overcome, or is this just something that somebody doesn't want to do? I started off in computer science. I got my undergraduate, a BS and an MS in computer science, and we used to have a saying that if a programmer wants to do something, they'll figure out how. I think it's important for us to really dig in here and not just accept we can't in these scenarios, but you have to have some technical knowledge to be able to do that. And lastly, I did want to mention DevOps. DevOps is largely the world that our developers live in, right? It's how they write code, it's how they track bugs, it's how they branch builds. Understanding the tools they're using also helps us relate to them and have an impact on getting beyond we can't. Now, another really important area that I think is often overlooked, surprisingly, as a matter of fact, is what I call what's in it for them, right? It turns out that no one cares as much as you do about the design work you're doing. As much as you may believe it's going to create a great customer experience or improve our product significantly, it turns out once you walk out of the room and you ask other people, they just don't have the investment that you have. And you know what? That's fine. That's why you're in the role you're in. But you have to acknowledge that. And you have to remember that if you're trying to get support or collaboration from executives or peers or partners, you've got to ask yourself what's in it for them, right? Am I asking them to do something that's going to benefit their career, something that aligns with their values or supports their priorities? These are really important questions to ask. The more that you can track to those things, the better the support you're going to get, right? There's a difference between somebody saying, I love what you're doing and I fully support it, and someone really rolling up their sleeves and going to bat and pushing on it. You'd be surprised, if you can really track to these key things here, how much more support you can get. And then finally, grit. I can't say enough about grit. I've often believed that, if you want something bad enough, you're going to figure out a way to get it. I'm sure there are examples of where that would not be possible. But in general, I like to live by that rule. And if you think of grit as a combination of, courage, the willingness to take risks, to apply your passion and deliver great outcomes, plus determination to actually achieve something, and not not giving up at the first sign of a challenge. That's how you get to success. I love this quote from Albert Einstein. Albert Einstein saying he's not so smart is kind of laughable. But there's some real wisdom in this. It's just that I stay with problems longer. If you look at the stories of so many successful people, from Bezos to Elon Musk to whomever you admire or look up to, or even just acknowledge as being successful, again and again you hear stories of grit, right? Of the fact that they stayed with a problem, they fought, they figured out a way to overcome, and I'd love to see a little more of that in some of the projects I'm on. And so I do believe that if you combine your UX expertise, but you add these other things, right? You add the willingness to go outside of your lane and bring some of the business and technical context in with you, along with a sensitivity or an acknowledgement of what's in it for them, for your partners, your peers, your executives, and then apply grit to all of that determination. You're going to get over all the we can'ts and get to we can. And I think that's when we really start changing the game for UX, right? And setting UX up for the success that we've always tried to achieve. And so with that, thank you. I appreciate you listening to the presentation and look forward to Q&A and talking to people.
The crowd loved that one too, Russ. Thanks so much for for being here. Appreciate all that you've done today, and your topic was great. I love grit as an element that you focus on there. So, a couple key questions I have here that have come in from the audience. I'm hoping you can hang out with us a couple minutes and answer. Uh,
Sure thing. After you made me watch myself, I'm ready to go.
now that you're over that trauma, we'll give you some pretty easy to answer questions, I would imagine. So, okay, here we go. Here's one. What's the number one personal dimension for a great leader in financial services design? And then it's how about a practitioner? So, first a leader, then a practitioner.
Oh, geez. I think for a leader, I would say focus. Like 10 of them come to mind, but I mean, focus to me seems to be something that I'm striving to have more of, and trying to make sure that I keep my eye on the ball and remember what we're really trying to achieve. Um, and I think that's super important. I think it's really important to remember what you're really after, what the end goal or the outcome you really want, and stick to that. I think in a practitioner, and this probably applies across the board too, but is just, a willingness to work hard, right? I can't say enough about just working hard. Um, you know, I found that some of the best work I've done and some of the best work I've seen has just been the result of not a genius, but of teams or individuals just being passionate about solving a problem and digging in and sticking with it and delivering.
That's a good one. Yeah, I think my son has a shirt that says "Hard work beats talent every time" or something like that. So, kind of
Totally.
resonates
Totally.
with him for sure. Um, Couple more questions here. I see we got some good ones here. How do you get out of your lane without stepping on toes of business or PM and tech counterparts?
You probably step on a few toes. You
Good.
know, it's it's hard. I think what I try to do, not that I do it perfectly, but I try to again focus on the objective and make sure that I'm not acting out of ego, right? Or from some place that really isn't what you want to be doing, right? I mean, like I ask myself, is this something, am I pushing, do I want control over this because my ego is getting in the way, or do I want control over this because I feel like I can help us get to a better outcome?
Mm,
And so I think the more transparent and authentic and honest you can be about your motivations, and people see that, I think you'll avoid at least stepping on everyone's toe.
excellent. Yep, good suggestion there for sure. Let's see here. How do you recommend people dig in on the real priorities, especially if they may be junior or want to tread lightly? I found sometimes executives react badly to the challenge, although some don't.
Yeah, that's a bad executive. Um, so I think, well, you know, I guess I'm thinking of this from so many different angles from my past and my past experience. Um, you know, we all play a part of the puzzle. We're all parts of the puzzle, right? We're all trying to
Hmm.
to do our part to drive something. And I, you know, I'm usually very impressed when somebody finds a way to really over deliver on their part of the puzzle and make room for other pieces too. Where you get into trouble is when you're kind of not delivering on your part of the puzzle and you're always trying to kind of do the coolest thing or be a part of something, and that's where it kind of winds up being a little like, come on. But I think, if you can deliver on your responsibilities and your accountabilities, I think people are going to recognize that, and they're going to want your help, right?
Hmm.
I love when people think outside the box and they go above and beyond. We try to encourage that all the time.
That's great. Good. Well, Russ, this is great to have you. I really appreciate you being here, and just thanks for all that you gave us today. And I hope you can hang around for the rest of the show and maybe some of the networking. So thanks again.
Awesome. Thanks so much. Thank you.